Merry Christmas, everybody. Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic week. We had a massive amount of data dumped this week. We got 2 NFPs. We had rate decisions from central banks across the world. We still have a BOJ interest rate decision this evening at around, I think it's like 10 o'clock my time. So a lot of data this week. It's one of the busiest data dump weeks I've seen in a long time. And Bitcoin had a nasty day yesterday. It looked like it was going to start a short squeeze yesterday and then ended up selling off pretty ridiculously hard. That happened. Here we are this morning. Looked like we were going to break down yesterday, and then it slowly climbs back up above weekly support. We've literally been watching this level all week, and price has been extremely choppy around this level all week. CPI comes in with a pretty massive beat. So we were expecting maybe 0.2%. Oh, no, it's still there. Okay, never mind. I thought they changed it. But anyway, we were expecting a 0.2% move in either direction. We weren't expecting a beat or a miss, but we definitely was not expecting a 0.4% beat. So Bitcoin seems to be taking that news quite bullishly here this morning. When I start to see stuff like this, it just feels like a big move is coming. Unfortunately, I don't know which direction it's going to go, but typically if you're putting in double bottoms or something like that, like the utter refusal for price to go lower kind of makes me think that an upside move is coming, but you still got to hedge your risks for the downside. We're coming into the last real trading week of the year. Next week will be a 3.5 or a 4-day trading week. I'm not exactly sure about that. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a 3.5 day, but we'll see. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. Most of your banks and firms and hedge funds and all that across the world is going to be closed. Very thin liquidity next week. Christmas rally is typically what people will look for going into the end of December. And after yesterday, it did not look like we were going to see that, but we knew we had more data to get through today. We got more data to get through tonight, and there's still big data to get through tomorrow, being the PCE, which is the Fed's chosen or preferred. Wait a minute. No, we don't have anything tomorrow. Okay. So it looks like the BOJ interest rate decision will be the last thing that we have to worry about. And then we can take into the end of the year a pretty good year. All right. So with that being said, what are we looking at here? What's going on with Bitcoin? Well, as of right now, currently this morning, you are trading back in the positive on the weekly range. So we did set a weekly low Monday, but in a sense, we've just been trading inside of Monday's range every day this week. If I go out to a daily time frame, you can see right here is that Monday. And similar to last week we did the exact same thing. We traded inside the weekly range pretty much all week long until the weekend. So we got that Sunday breakdown right at the weekly open, and then we set a new weekly range and we went nowhere. So we're still trading in that range, even though it looks like Bitcoin has done a lot here on the intra-week time frame, intraday time frame. If you're looking at it on a weekly, literally hasn't done anything. Right here, the WO, that's your weekly open. You've gotten back above your weekly volume weighted average price. You're coming in to retest the monthly or the December volume weighted average price up here. That's the blue line. And the orange line is going to be your daily 21 exponential. What I'm almost 100% positive is not in the right spot. So let's go ahead and put that there. All right, so what are we looking for today? On Bitcoin, as far as day trades, nothing, right? I got a short off on Fartcoin yesterday. I was already short from up here. I basically just followed it down, re-entering, taking profits, re-entering, taking profits. Well, that position got stopped out yesterday, or actually it was on Tuesday morning when we put a new entry on down here. That brought my cost basis down to this white line. And you can see on Tuesday late in the session, I ended up closing out that position. So basically up, it was like done at around 650 bucks, something like that. So we added 650. We took another short on it yesterday. That position got stopped out as this wick took off, but I did not love the volume delta, so I went ahead and re-entered the short, chasing it a little bit down, got my short entry off right here, and caught pretty much all that. So done really good on Fartcoin this week. I'm not looking to trade Fartcoin today. I think the only thing that we have to look at is right here. It's going to be Zcash. I don't love the setup. It hasn't really done anything this week. If we pull out the daily time frame here, you can see right here is your weekly open. It has been slightly trending down, and yesterday kind of put in a trap. So we'll see if that's a trap or not if today takes out yesterday's high. Excuse me. But with that being said, I still like the short setup as we're testing resistance here, being the weekly open. So if the sellers are still in control of this asset, right, this would be like a dead cat bounce. You would be in anticipation of this larger time frame trend taking root or back hold of this asset, then we would be expecting a deeper correction here. So the weekly open is where I am looking for bearish entries, going to mitigate that with a very tight stop loss, as this thing has a bad habit of wrecking my P&L. I'm not even going to lie. This is in the same sector as XMR. XMR is a privacy token. It's not traded on normal exchanges. It's not traded, the spot price, I should say. The futures are, but the spot price is what matters. You can't just go on Coinbase and buy Monero, right? It's pretty much outlawed, if you will. Binance, same thing. You can't go on Binance and buy the spot price of XMR. It's because it's a privacy token. There are extra steps that you need to take in order to be an owner of this crypto. And since it's a privacy token, most governments hate it. So it's a little bit more difficult to get involved in this. And since it's a privacy token, that hides people's money. Usually people that go into this, if they're trying to hide money, they're not selling, right? They're just not selling. They're hiding their money, so they put it in this and then they leave it alone. Well, that's why this thing doesn't really react like good to technicals, if you will. So it makes it a difficult trade. And since ZEC's in the same sector, occasionally they trade one for one. Like if XMR is up, then ZEC is up, right? And vice versa. Zcash had a massive run to the upside not too long ago, but as you can see, it is pulling back. We anticipated that pullback. We were looking for that pullback, and you know, we have made a little bit of money on the pullback. So we're looking for that pullback to continue here, going the third week inside of this range. Last week was a very brutal bullish move. This week has been a little bit muted as your range is very tight here. So if it's going to roll over, I would expect it to do so here. I do not like it no more for a short if you're trading above 403.20, because this breakdown of it, this is a breakdown below support. Right here is your clear, obvious support zone, right? This candle closed under, so this would be a breakdown. So in order for the short to still be able to be put on, we need to basically leave from this area and start heading lower. We need to see weakness start to pick up. If you get above yesterday's high, then this is a bear trap, and then I won't want to short it anymore. All right. Now this is the favorite asset today for the trade. It is getting late week. Today's Thursday. Now cryptos are traded 24/7, so basically it's midweek or just a little bit over midweek for these things, but still, just like volume dries up in normal markets by the end of Friday, it also dries up in the crypto markets as well. So pretty much what I'm trying to say is the range is already pretty much in. So could see a big move to the upside from here, but I like it lower. And that's what the technicals are saying. So that's what we're looking for. So my short entry, obviously, is going to be the weekly open. And then, like I said, stops in tight. What I would love to see here is I would love to see Zcash make a fresh 4-hour swing low. What would even be more beautiful is if Zcash were to be able to take out this swing low. So you could, in theory, short here, take profits just in front of 389. Don't wait for 389 to get tagged. That would be your profit target, your primary profit target zone. So you would be looking to take profits ahead of the level, just in case it doesn't get all the way down there, right? So somewhere like at 391.30, 391.70, somewhere in that area, if you get the entry off. Obviously, I put this in the Discord, but the live stream started and I've been running my mouth. I should have been really actually focused on this, but this is the entry spot. I'll leave it up to you whether or not you decide to chase it or not. Clearly, you're making a fresh 30-minute low, which is a good sign. So maybe you'll get a retest back up to about 402.18. Then maybe you could put an entry on there and use the hive day for a stop. I leave it up to you. It's your money. Obviously, I can't control what you do, but that's what I'm looking at today. I don't like ETH, I don't like Bitcoin, and I don't like Fartcoin for shorts. If anything, I might be watching Fartcoin here to take that trade off. Basically what I mean, Basically what I mean is I might just go ahead. Let me pull up Fartcoin for you. I might just go ahead and close the position because I took profits on it yesterday, thus bringing the P&L on Fartcoin this week up to about $1,000. But I still have a significant amount of unrealized P&L here to deal with. So almost $500 there. So maybe if it shows me like an inability going on here this morning when we get the New York Open, if it has a difficult time trading under 27.25, I might just go ahead and close that position and say, made 1,500 on Fartcoin this week. That's good. And maybe put on a long down here because you did liquidate a previous week swing low. Now, obviously, it looked bullish until yesterday, right? Fartcoin looked bullish and was structured bullish yesterday. Basically, Fartcoin was just a hedge against an Ethereum long. So we were looking, because obviously we can't predict what price will do. We were looking to capitalize on a big move, whether it went up or down. We didn't really care. So basically we were going to be long Ethereum. So that way, if Ethereum would have broken out and had a big upside day yesterday, then the Fartcoin trade gets smoked, and then we'd make the money on Ethereum as it started to trend. Well, that isn't what happened yesterday. What happened is Fartcoin put in that fake out move to the upside and then rolled over and had a significant down move. Typically, I would be looking for downside continuation in something like this, right? But since we got that CPI news, it might completely shift everything around here in the next couple days to weeks, because the 2.6 is a really good beat that brings you 0.4% down lower. So at 3%, you're 50% higher than the Fed's target rate of 2%, right? So this is a big beat. I mean, for me, it feels like a big beat. Maybe for others, it doesn't, and inflation's still coming and the world is still ending. But for me, it feels like a pretty large beat, and that could shift traders, their positioning. Now, obviously, Fartcoin isn't anything. It's a meme token. It's literal garbage. It isn't worth a penny, in my opinion. However, it is a very good asset to trade. It offers liquidity and movement, and that is all one needs to generate a revenue stream. So a lot of traders love trading Fartcoin. Me, present company included. I love it. It's a fantastic asset to generate revenue. So we'll see what it does, but it does look like a nasty little breakdown here. But since Bitcoin is acting bullish today, we don't know that Bitcoin will continue to be bullish moving forward. It's got to stay above the weekly open, obviously. Obviously, it has to stay above this. Then it's got to beat the 21. Then it's got to beat the yearly open. Then it's just got a lot of overhead resistance. The trend is obviously down. Whenever you're closing days in succession, right? Like one after another under your 21 exponential moving average, your near-term trend is down. But we can honestly say that the long-term trend is down as well, because you're also closing weekly candles under its 21 and under the 50. Like everything that means bullish momentum is done. It's over with. You smoked all that. And then obviously the year open being 93,347, as long as you're under that, you're bearish on the year. So the structure of Bitcoin price action is bearish. There is no if and or buts about it. If you look at it on a year over year, then you can say it's bullish. But this year, it's bearish. You're negative on the year. So yeah, I mean, obviously the trend is down. So a lot of people are looking to short swing highs. And honestly, I think that is the right thing to do as long as Bitcoin is closing dailies under the 21. Today is no different. I won't like the short because it's above the weekly open. And that's changing the intra-week structure, if you will. So the real good short on Bitcoin for me this week, obviously, would have been the weekly open. Yesterday it was very choppy, very, very big move above the weekly open. It just essentially tagged the daily 21 and rolled over. Today, it looks like you're trying to do that again with like support. The more times you test the support area, the more likely it's going to break. Same can be said for resistance. The more often you test the resistance area over and over and over again, it becomes more likely that it wants to break. But we don't know that it will, obviously, but we'll see what it does. I think you'd be better suited trading something like this. All right. Hopefully everybody's having a fantastic week, fantastic month, fantastic year. Like I said, I got one member who I know is struggling right now, and my heart goes out to him, and obviously praying for him. But yeah, it is what it is. Christmas is coming up. People are basically checking on their portfolios and about to start looking into about what to do for taxes. So this year is pretty much over. All right. But there's still trades to be taken. There are still trades to be taken, and we will exploit whatever we can when we can. And I think right now we'll see what ZEC does here. It is a very volatile asset, so you definitely got to put a stop loss on. Speaking of, I don't have one on real quick. Let me go do that, because it has a really bad habit of, like I said, annihilating my P&L. This thing does not trade as good as other assets do. I would assume it's because it's not traded on exchanges. Other than that, as far as long-term macro stuff like that, we have been seeing a lot of jobs being lost. You can chalk it up to whatever you want to chalk it up to. The simple matter is we got a higher unemployment tick from those NFP numbers, and what looked like really bad NFP numbers. Unemployment number went up. NFP numbers we got two of them. One was real bad, negative, and one was just slightly positive. So yeah, it's a washout there when it comes to jobs. Powell actually said in the press conference that we're losing about, on average, close to 30,000 jobs a month. Obviously, we want that trend to continue, but we'll see what happens. As far as what bonds are doing, they're doing what we think they will do long term. We do honestly think that the low might be in here for the TLT, at least on the near term. So we did buy the TLT the other day. All right, we bought it the other day. We're gapping up here this morning, which is good news. So essentially what we did is we put in this bear trap down here, this big gap down. We liquidated that on Tuesday. Yesterday, you were trading pretty much as an inside day candle for the majority of the day. You did take out the previous day high, so it isn't an inside candle. It's a trending candle. And this morning, you're gapping up slightly, but you're gapping up into resistance here. So this isn't like all good and all fun and games here. But if we get back above the October low, I'll feel a whole lot more comfortable holding that position. Let's just say that. All right. But yeah, we are long the TLT. I did put on a 43, or it was like 40, it was 45, 46 days to expiration call up at $88. So yeah, it needs to trade out of this area and to the upside for me to think that things are starting to look a lot better, because as long as yields are going up on the back end, the long-term yields, the near-term yields follow the Fed fund rate. It's the long-term, the back end month, or the 20-year, 10-year, 20-year, 30-year yields that everybody's concerned about. As long as they are continuing to trend up, even though the Fed is doing what they're doing on the near term, that's bringing worry into the overall risk markets. And you're seeing that because tech is literally pulling back, and tech is a huge part of the market. So here's tech, big down day yesterday, gapping back up to December's open right now. So this could be a trap, but we'll see. Only time will tell. I could imagine there's going to be some sellers here on the XLK today. I would be if I was looking to short it. That's where I would be looking to put risk on. So we'll see what it does, but financials put in fresh all-time highs this week. XLY also putting in, that's consumer discretionary, also putting in fresh all-time highs this week. Actually, yesterday, put in fresh all-time highs and then rolled over. I would say this is because Amazon and Tesla are big in the XLY. And then communication sector, which is also tech. A lot of big tech companies in this sector struggling to make fresh all-time highs. And then, of course, tech itself pulling back, getting really close to look for those 133 lows. Here is your US 30. So this is a CFD product that tracks the NASDAQ futures. You can see you're having a pretty good day here. So I don't know if this tech pullback will continue, but as of right now, it's having a good day. Looking at it compared to what it did yesterday, it still looks like it could be a short, right? Today still looks like it would be a selling opportunity. So if I were trading the NASDAQ, I don't trade the NASDAQ futures. I only like to trade the S&P futures. But if I was trading the NASDAQ futures, I would be very interested to see what happens here at $25,074. As that's yesterday's open. If the sellers show back up there, then I could put on a little bit of risk there. But we'll see what happens. I haven't really looked at this to see what it's doing on the long term. We can do that real quick if you'll just bear with me as we're waiting for the bell. That will be in 7 minutes. We definitely want to get a good idea as to what this thing is doing, and it is more bearish right here than it is bullish. Yeah, this isn't normally my music. Let me see what I can do with that, because that is obviously a children thing. I just put on a Christmas or a popular, what's popular in the social media world today. Oh, love it. All right, so there's December open. Let me get back to what I do here. I'm not a very good YouTube producer. I'm a trader. All right, so yeah, we're bearish on the month, bearish on the week. So as long as that weekly open, I would go as far as just look at yesterday's open, to be honest with you. But if the sellers are here and they're strong and they're still scared after getting the CPI news that they got, then I wouldn't expect it to spend much time trading above yesterday's open. Obviously, it could. Just mitigate your risk. Mitigate your risk. VIX is gapping, or not gapping. It actually opened right where it closed yesterday at around 1765. I'll give you that exact price. 1763. You opened today at 1761, so it did gap down just 2 pennies. But anyway, it's trading around the yearly opening range. For us, this is resistance for me and my community. As long as the VIX is closing dailies under this yellow line, we have a bullish or a near-term bullish bias on risk assets. Obviously, I'm not looking to buy the S&P 500 at the high of day. And I'm definitely not looking to buy the US 100 or the NASDAQ at the high of day, which is where you are. But since the VIX is trading under the yearly open, I don't have a sell side bias on it either. So there's no trade here for me. I'm just giving you levels that you could look for or you can watch if you decide that you want to trade it. Gold also having an exceptionally big day today. I would assume this is going to be due to dollar weakness, but let me see first. No, actually, it really isn't. Oh wait, that's a 30-minute. Sorry, I thought it was a 4-hour. Okay, yes, it is. All right, so basically it's just dollar weakness is what's got gold popping here. With a lower CPI number, that could cause some gold bulls to take a little bit of profits, but I doubt it. A lot of people are looking for gold to continue what it did this year, next year, based on macroeconomics, right? What's going on in the world. People have a really bullish bias on gold right now. So take that with how you will. Dollar is pulling back. Lower CPI, weaker dollar. Rate cuts also weak dollar. Here's the dollar real quick. You can see it is pulling back here. This is a long-term trend line going back all the way to 2011. Now, dollar's been in a multi-month range, trading in the same range for like 7 months now at this point. So obviously this trend line didn't act like it should have or normally would have, but it's still there, right? People are still looking at it. So as long as it's still there, the dollar feels a little bit weak here. Bouncing off the October open the other day, getting a nice bounce yesterday, and then it looks like they're just going to use that as a selling opportunity. And since this near-term trend is lower, that would be what I would be looking for as well, since weaker dollar fits with the macro also. Cutting interest rates, typically weak for the dollar. Low inflation, typically not great for the dollar. So we'll see, or lower, it's not low. 2.6 is not low by any stretch of the imagination. I'm just simply saying it's lower than it was last month. Last month it was 3. Or last time we got because the government shut down, yada yada. But last time we got a number was 3. That's where it's been holding steady. So we'll see what happens with the dollar. There isn't really many trading setups that we're looking at here as far as in the Forex world. If you are, you can throw the pair in the chat. I will take a look at it for you. But yesterday, the Japanese yen was down. I haven't looked at what the Japanese yen is doing today, though, yet. It's really not doing anything. As far as yesterday, had a nice move. Here's the Japanese yen futures. And this is accurate data. This is on time or whatever. You get what I'm saying? But yesterday, you can see it had a nice down day. So I was kind of confused to see weakness across the board yesterday. We saw weakness on risk. We saw weakness in the crypto world and weakness on the yen. It was kind of confusing. I would chalk that up as people selling the yen in anticipation of a rate hike. But I mean, let's be clear. The yen has been weak all year long. So it fits with the trend that it would roll over. But the simple fact that nobody was bullish yesterday in the markets was what was curious to me, to say the least. So I am really interested to see what the yen does here going into Q1 of next year, right? I want to see what it does for the whole first quarter. There's the bell. I don't really have a bias on it either way. I kind of did, but now not so much. There's just too much stuff going on over there. And I'm not a macro guy, so I don't want to pretend like I am, but I definitely want to keep an eye on the yen, as if the yen starts to firm up for whatever reason, that could be problematic for at least tech. And if the tech sector suffers, then yeah, we want to look for like Aussie yen shorts or USD yen shorts, something to that effect. But we have to wait for the BOJ, see if they even go through with the rate hike, which they are expected to do. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the yen. But here's Bitcoin still being bullish. Zcash still not rolling over. Still just chopping around here. Sorry if that little noise was loud in your ears. Still chopping around here. I don't like the way it closed like this. I would have much rather seen a weaker close, maybe back under the weekly VWAP here, as this looks like it's wanting to run the stops at least at the very minimum there at the high day. So we'll see what happens here. It doesn't look bearish, and it's not my favorite setup. The volume here, deltas look extremely bullish, not bearish. So trying to short this it's just because it's been making lower lows on the weekly range. That could change today, right? Today could be a very big bullish breakout day. So we're not going to force the short on this. Not going to force it at all. If it rolls, if it bounces, gets above 403, we're just going to leave it alone. If it's trading under 403, then we like it lower. But we're not going to get chopped up on this either. But that is the setup for the day. I do also want to keep an eye on Fartcoin, as I am interested to see if it will at least pull back to here. Hasn't been able to do that yet. I'm not going to close the position if it does pull back to here. I'm going to close the position if it gets down around the low, right? And if it keeps falling, then I'll leave it open. But I just want to see if it holds support here. If it does, then I want to close the position, take that unrealized profit off the table at the very minimum. I don't love the idea of buying it, but if risk markets and Bitcoin and everything becomes really bullish, then sentiment could change on this. Remember, it is just a trading vehicle at this point. It has no real value. Okay, so Bonk bouncing hard today as well. So is Pingu, having a pretty nice bounce here actually, but still bearish. Structure still bearish. I think these swing highs would be selling opportunities, but the problem with trying to sell these things is Bitcoin and Ethereum are both kind of bullish today. So if they stay bullish, Ethereum's up almost 4.5%. Bitcoin's up almost 3%. If they stay bullish, that's going to put buying pressure under most of these alts. As you can see here with the watch list, I mean, there really isn't much out there that is bearish, right? Fartcoin is, but it was down a lot worse than that earlier today. So it's reclaiming a lot of what it's lost already today. And then Jelly is just, it will eventually roll over more than likely, but I haven't seen any real bullish news on it. I'm not looking to short it. This looks like it's trying to hold support, but it is a little bit extended, or it was a little bit extended. It's not anymore. Not extended anymore. We don't need you. Yeah. I don't know what is going on with this indicator. I have no clue why I have to continuously go in here and change these colors. It is getting extremely annoying, as every time I do it, I save it. I'm kind of just over it at this point. I might just start leaving it. Factory settings. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know what this thing is. I don't know if it has any use case or what, right? I don't know anything about it. It's just on the watch list. It had a big spike the other day. We were kind of watching to see if it was going to stay massively overbought, or if it could get, which it did get at one point, up to around really overbought. But I was unable to capitalize on that move. So we'll see what it does. That's why it's staying on the list. If it does give back half this rally, it'll go off the list. It's not really an important crypto. The last time you got any news on it was, like any significant news, was March 31st. And that was just being listed by an exchange. So there's no real bullish, like overhanging bullish narrative here. Just people in the community like it, I guess. I don't know. It is what it is, though. All right, so let's pull Pingu back up over here. Pingu's one that we keep an eye on quite often. Fartcoin's going to be important today. So's Bitcoin. I mean, it's giving back a lot of it, a lot of what it did for the CPI, and it does have an overall bearish look to it. So we'll see what happens here. Now, if Bitcoin becomes overwhelmingly bearish again today, like if it starts to do this stuff again, then the XMR and Zcash could be bullish. Because that seems to be what has taken place here for the last few days. There's been a few days where they were trading almost inversely. Like on the days that Bitcoin was extremely weak, this thing was up. And you can see here that Bitcoin really started to get whack-a-mole in October. And October is when XMR really got bullish. So they're kind of trading inversely. They're not inversely one-to-one, obviously, but they're still that. I mean, it's trying to be a fresh breakout above resistance here. It could be a day bull, like a bull trap on the daily, but we would only know if like tomorrow takes out today's low. I think if that's going to happen, I would rather be short Zcash. Zcash just has the technical setup in place, whereas XMR does not, right? So that's all I mean. So we'll see what happens here. Let me see what you guys are having to say, if anything. All right, looks like good morning, good mornings, good mornings. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Wear the pants situation. You know they're off, bro. They stay off. No pants. Good morning, Ed. Ed the OG. Or now it's just G. Baka. It seems that Bitcoin is having difficulty going higher. It is, but I can also say the same to the downside. It seems as if Bitcoin is having difficulty going lower as well, right? Like, you've had really volatile, big, deep, bearish pushes here this week. What it lacked was continuation. So what that tells me is the bears are more than happy to short Bitcoin at 89, say 89.5 and up, right? Anywhere above 89.5. The bears are more than happy to short Bitcoin. But where they no longer are more than happy to short Bitcoin is down around 85.6. That's when they back off. They ease up. So, yeah, Bitcoin is having difficulty going up, but it is also having difficulty going down. Because this was an extremely volatile move to the downside. But this was also a very extremely volatile move back to the upside. So you're just chopping in a range. It's just in a range. That's the kind of price action we anticipate in a range as well. So you could short Bitcoin. I'm not saying Bitcoin's going to do a short squeeze. I'm just saying it feels like it's ready to do a short squeeze because of the simple fact that the bears are definitely, at the very minimum, easing back on these lows. You didn't see that happen yesterday on Fartcoin, for instance. Yesterday on Fartcoin, they hammered it. Then it went sideways for 8 hours and they hammered it again. You're not seeing, this is that continuation move, right? We're seeing them just hammer Bitcoin off the open and then they quit. They're done. They lose interest. It's not that they're losing interest. They don't want to be holding a short at the low end of the range if you get a big spike. It's actually smart. But that's what's going on, clearly. So the bears are still in control of Bitcoin, for sure. Like with structure, with the averages, with price, I don't, however you analyze trend, right? It's down. Basically, this is a buying opportunity though for billionaires. They are buying down here. That is another reason why you're seeing an inability to go lower. It's not the fact that retail isn't trying to short at 85,000. No, of course they are. Retail loves shorting lows, but it's just not breaking down. It could and might in the future though. But this week, it's been struggling. Last week, it struggled to go lower. We got one continuation day on Monday, and that was it. That was the end of it. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to get positioned when you're having these big volatile swings, both up and down. I would say as long as you're trading above weekly support, you could be long. Weekly support is 86,808. That's the low week close is all that is. And this near-term price action, right? It's not the low week close of all time. It's just in this price action. Say since April, since the lows in April were put in, this is your low week close here. So until you close a weekly candle under that, that price remains support. It remains to be support. So people are buying when it gets into these areas. That's why you're seeing difficulty for it to break down. I'd be willing to say that, you know, if the bears don't win within the next 2 weeks, if they don't get that downside continuation move in the next couple of weeks, you're probably going to see a large spike on Bitcoin to the upside. This range bound price action is probably, which to be fair, we have not seen. We're seeing like a decline in volume as well. So here is the volume with a 7-day moving average on it. I have to put a moving average on volume, otherwise it would be unreadable. It would be ineligible to read hard. Like it would look like this, right? It would look like the VIX or the VVIX or something like that. Put a 7-day moving average on it, it smooths the line out. So this is daily exchange volume across all exchanges. The volumes are much lower than they were back when we set the highs. So it doesn't look like we're seeing huge volumes worth of buying pressure. We just know that people are buying. When Bitcoin hits these levels, people are going to be buying. They're going to want to scoop it up. So yesterday I did post this. I don't know where this data came from. He says it's volume on Coinbase for institutional buying. It's going absolutely vertical. I can't see that on any of the volume indicators that I look at. I don't see that. And there was a comment under this post saying that it was just a lot of moving around in between wallets. But, I mean, something like that could cause a short squeeze if that's legit. I don't know where he got this info from, though. So I'm not saying it is legit. I'm just saying when you see stuff like that, you have to be a little bit concerned for your shorts, right? Volumes over here with a 7-day trailing moving average not looking good. Hash rates did have a spike to the downside early in the week, but we're seeing that China FUD, the news that came out of China, looks like hash rate is bouncing back here quite easily. Here is Bitcoin ETF flows yesterday. Pretty big flows yesterday. Pretty big inflows yesterday. Whereas Monday, Tuesday, we saw heavy selling or heavy outside flows going out. So this is also indicative of sentiment. That's a lot of buying. Anything over 200 catches my attention when I'm looking at this indicator. 457 is quite heavy. Quite heavy. All right. So that's one thing there. You look at the stock to flow model on Bitcoin, you're undervalued. If you look at, I think the best thing to look at as far as where is Bitcoin's value is realized price. That's my favorite way to look at, is Bitcoin, should I be buying Bitcoin, right? Where should I be buying Bitcoin? So you can see that there is, here, let's pull it up so you can see. You can see there are these valleys here where Bitcoin becomes a much better value, right? You still have quite a bit of downside to go before you're in that, like, where I would say you should be buying hand over fist, right? I will be buying Bitcoin hand over fist here. That price is roughly around 50K. Now that would also give you a technical sell, like it would give you an oversold reading on the RSI if you hit $50,000. So another thing that we're looking at is Bitcoin in itself, like with the 4-year cycle model. All right, so the 4-year model states that we're going to see Bitcoin stay in this longer term bear market, right? Well, if you go back to all of Bitcoin's data and you pull up those bear markets, you can see that each and every cycle, the drawdown became less dramatic. Now, 84% ain't that much difference than 86, but still it's higher, right? So 86% the first one, second, 84, third, 77. You can see the pattern. So what we've done is we've drawn out a 76.75% drawdown. Bitcoin continues to repeat this pattern, which it should, mathematically speaking, as long as Bitcoin continues to get adoption and everything like that, right? Barring any red swan event, if Bitcoin continues to do what it has been doing, then it should not draw down any more than 77%. So a 76% pullback puts you in at around about 30K. So that, in my opinion, would be like, I would be snatching up as much Bitcoin as I could if we got down that low. I'm not anticipating Bitcoin getting down that low. And then finally, lastly, right, your 200-week simple moving average. Bitcoin's above $50,000. So just looking at this indicator by itself, this has been a pretty good area to be a buyer. If you are looking to accumulate Bitcoin long term, I'm not talking about this cycle or next year even. I'm talking about 5-10 years down the road, right? 2030, 2035. Where's Bitcoin in 2035? That type of stuff. Well, then this is the area that you want to be a buyer, and that comes in around 56K. So, yeah, I mean, you can start buying Bitcoin at the weekly open if you're just scalping volatility. Like if you're looking for swing trades and stuff like that, Bitcoin could be a buy as long as your low day support, which is right here, or your low week support, right? It's up to you. I leave that up to you. But as long as that is holding, there is potential for Bitcoin to see higher prices, at least on the near term. What happens later on, that can be debated, right? Does Bitcoin put in a lower high and roll over and then continue the second leg of the bear market? Yeah, it's all possible, right? It's all possible. But as long as the macro looks okay, see, like Bitcoin, you can argue is following the 4-year cycle, or you could say it's just following the liquidity cycle or the business cycle. Global liquidity is on a downturn right now. And it isn't anticipated to drop or bottom out until like Q3 of next year. So we could literally see Bitcoin stay choppy to bearish all the way until that liquidity cycle bottoms out and starts to go back up again. So I think it has more to do with that than it does the 4-year cycle model, in my opinion. Like, it just makes more sense. But mathematically speaking, the 4-year cycle does make sense. It just does. It is what it is. So right now, order flow is being driven by day-to-day news breaks, though. It's been very choppy, been a difficult trade for some, others not so much, right? All right, let's go look at what Farcoin's doing. Is it pulling back? It is. All right, so this is what we want to see here. So obviously deltas are still heavily bearish. As long as you're under the zero line, you're heavily bearish. However, because they're trending back to the upside, that could mean that at least on the very near term, a low is in here. It doesn't mean it will stay the low, but I do want to see if it's struggling to get under that. I want to go ahead and close my position and take that $500 worth of unrealized gains off and go ahead and complete the week for Farcoin, as it has been a fantastic trade for me. And then Baka says, "What's up?" with the wavy fishy guy. Okay, yep, good, awesome. Let's see here. For anybody that's just joining, we're looking at Zcash here to see if the weekly open holds as resistance. If it does, we want to short it. As right now, the weekly structure is, it's like sideways, but you've made fresh lows. This was your weekly low until that, then that. So we're looking at this inside day here as a pullback, as a dead cat bounce, as an opportunity to look for shorts. We want to see if this downtrend here is going to continue, at least today, right? At least today. We're looking for a trade to see what we can do here. The real small intraday scalp would have you looking for about 403 short and primary profit target at 390-ish, 391. I would give you a 3% move in your direction. So if you've got a decent amount of leverage and a decent position size, there's no reason why you couldn't take profits if you got a 3% move. If you're not using heavy leverage, you're going to need a much larger move, obviously. So the day open is here, right? So if you could just at least get under the midpoint of the day range, it would start to feel better. But you're struggling to do that, as you can see. So it does look like it wants to go higher. So if we look at XMR, which is an asset in the same sector, there's 1 hour still left on this 4-hour candle, but what's it doing? This is a pullback candle, right? We would be looking to buy this if we thought it was going higher. Like, I don't like buying all-time highs or close to all-time highs, so I don't participate. But if this was like lower, say we were opening a brand new month and this was the first week of the month and this was happening like on a Tuesday, I would be a buyer here, right? As long as this low stays intact, I would be okay with being a buyer here, and I would be targeting 448 because this is just a pullback. It's an inside candle. As long as that's happening, that's telling us that this bullish expansion here is legit, because the bears can't even take this swing low out. So people that missed this move, this pullback right here gives them an opportunity to get involved if it's going to have upside continuation. And like I said, right here, right now, this day would be a fresh breakout above resistance. Right there is your high day close. You're trading above that right now. So right now, this looks like a breakout. Structure is bullish. Your week 21 is down here. Your day 21 is higher. That means the bulls have control of this asset on a long-term basis. Your yearly range, up. You're up near year highs. Very bullish asset. Structure is bullish. That's why I don't love the short. But yeah, on an intraday basis, people would be looking at this as a buying op. We look at deltas even. The deltas look okay for upside continuation. Same thing, as long as the deltas don't break back down into the negative territory. But you would smoke that low if that were to happen, which is why we don't put too much emphasis on volume analysis. Price action analysis is good, but combining it all, it kind of helps, right? So the technical price structure on Zcash looks like it could be putting in a high here, but the volume is telling us no, it isn't. The bulls are pushing. So our short could be wrong here, right? This setup would be much better if we were taking it, say, right here. Like that. If we had this look. Negative and trending sideways. Down and trending sideways. This spike up would have been a selling up for us. So you can see how this setup isn't great. It isn't a perfect setup. It's not a perfect setup. Fartcoin was a beautiful setup yesterday, but then it got crazy. Well, when it made that big bullish push yesterday, we still didn't like it because of volume. The volume was telling us, like, I don't like this move. Because at that point, Bitcoin had already made a fresh weekly high. Let's just do this real quick. So Bitcoin had already made a fresh weekly high yesterday. And this was a fresh day high on Fartcoin. Look at your volume structure down here according to deltas. This is called the cumulative volume deltas. It just simply means that more people are hitting market sell than there are people hitting limit buy. Is typically how people read this indicator, right? Your auction market theory people, they're the ones that look at like your footprint candlestick charts and all that. They're trying to read volume. That's how they look at this indicator. So this would be implying that the market sellers, the fast, hard, aggressive sellers, because when you're selling on or buying on market, you're aggressive. You don't give a crap what price. You just want to either buy or sell, right? You're going in on market. So you are the aggressor. And this negative, being negative, just indicates that the sellers are the aggressor in this scenario. So we had Bitcoin make a fresh weekly high. Fartcoin only made a fresh daily high. So we did get smoked on our first attempt for the short there. But this is what we were looking at as time went on. I went a little bit too far there. I'm just showing you the reason why I chased Fartcoin in the midst of that volatility. We're into the monthly VWAP. So, and I'm looking at deltas here. I would have wanted to see this get back to positive and then see that basically what we're seeing on Zcash. Literally like what we're seeing on Zcash here. Looks identical or it's actually the opposite of what we want to be seeing. See how you're putting in this upside move on volume? You're sideways here. So the sellers aren't like breaking it back down. So it just feels like the buyers are more aggressive. You're positive and it's trending. The aggressive buyers are completely in control of price today. We need to see those aggressive sellers show up. But anyways, we saw the opposite happening on Fartcoin. Even though it had a big bullish spike and it looked like it was going up, I didn't love this volume, so I hit it with the short. The volume was like, nah, it doesn't look good. And then that's what happened later. So it was a beautiful setup. So sometimes volume can be very helpful if like interpreted correctly, I guess you could say. This volume is still very weak, but I wouldn't be looking for fresh shorts down here because the bulls are more aggressive on the bid now. Whereas the sellers were, you were sideways, 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 breakdown, sideways, 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 breakdown, sideways, sideways, sideways. You would have wanted to see breakdown, no matter what happened with price. Now it broke to the upside and price broke to the upside. Now it's sideways, sideways, sideways. Who's going to take it? Is it going to be the bulls or the bears? Clearly bears are hitting it. But we'll see. Right? This is where it needs to be. Will it? Or won't it? I mean, we don't know, but I wouldn't be shorting this with Bitcoin being as bullish as it is. If Bitcoin starts to pull back a lot more, then maybe, right? This still looks bullish to me. The structure is still fine. Remember, you're basically just trading inside of this bullish range that you just put in. But when the bears have it, it happens quickly. When the bears get it, they get it, and it goes quick, right? It's not going quick here. Though the bears do not have this. Even deltas are suggesting the bears don't have it. So we may be wrong on the Zcash, is all I'm trying to say. Because deltas are bullish. And then if we pull up the last volume metric that we look at, which is your session volume profile, just to give us an idea as where it has the most volume traded inside of this daily range. Right now, the most volume is traded up. So if price starts to leave this area and go back to the upside, it's going to feel like the buyers are still in control. When we liquidated the high of day, what we would have wanted to see is downside continuation from this candle. So if price does start to get down into here, right, then it will start feeling a little better for the short. But that needs to start happening pretty quickly. Otherwise, the bulls are going to feel like they got it and they're going to win. But I'm already short, so it doesn't matter. VIX is still going down. So risk market's still going up. Risk market's definitely looking okay here. Yesterday, you traded right down to the weekly expected move. Like right there. That's basically where the seller said enough for yesterday. Right on it, man. Like absolutely perfection there. Let's go see what Tesla's doing real quick, because I'm interested in that. Yeah, yesterday it did have another move lower, which looks good for anybody that's in a short call position. Today doesn't look so great. Basically, you're going to need to see yesterday's open hold as resistance. If it doesn't, you're probably going to see this all-time high breakout continue. As buyers usually look at opportunities like this to be a buyer. It's like literally the same thing that's going on with Bitcoin right now. Yeah, this should be the selling up. So we'll see. It might take some time here to play out. I'm okay with holding the short as long as we're not trading above 401. But I wish that volume would I wish the volume would at least give us a little bit more confirmation. I mean, there is no such thing as confirmation in the markets, but at least when you're positioned and everything is looking good, it does make it feel a little bit easier and better to sit in that position. Other than when things are telling you, you're probably wrong, bro. I hate that. That's what happens, though, a lot. Yeah. Bitcoin's still testing the weekly open. We got some funk going on with the Christmas music. Some funky music. Kind of dig it. TLT's up a little bit. That's only based on the gap. It's down on the day. Testing that resistance. We really want to see the TLT break out above this 88.15 area. I don't really want to see that act as resistance. Now you're clearly breaking down of a head and shoulders formation. It's one of the best looking head and shoulders I've seen in a long time. I'm not a pattern trader though. I don't take trades based on patterns because it's just right. I don't really do that. But I mean, it is a really good head and shoulders here, and people do trade head and shoulders. And the breakdown measured move would put you down here around September's low. So I really want to see it break out here. Really want to see it break out. I'd love to see the long end of the curve start to get more in line with what's going on the short end. Finding a little bit of resistance up here on the NQ. Just yesterday's open. Weekly open is here. Let me mark those levels so I know what's going on with them. I just like to be, or at least have my identifiers out. Well, that would be yesterday. All right. Yeah, we'll see if the seller's got what it takes here. Doesn't look like it. Not really seeing heavy sell side activity here. Session volume profile is also structured more for the long. They lot of volume down here 24/7, which suggests the buyers were heavy on it. And at that point, that was the high of day. So that's where your short squeeze took place. I would have never, ever taken a short with that being the daily high. You would need to see like massive downside pressure for that to take place. I mean, once they broke that day high, it acted as support. And there was that candle right there should have told you that the short is no longer working. Right? I mean, that is if you're a candlestick analyst. You're trying to be a trader, you got to be at least able to identify what price is telling you. It's never going to be an arbiter of what will happen, though. But at the very minimum, it's telling you what is or did happen. So yeah, you don't really want to start looking for that continuation move until you've pulled back at least a little bit into the previous day range. So right now you're trading as an inside day. So for any bears that think this is a good area, this is a typical area where we would be looking to short it with the structure that it has and all that. It is a valid short trade. Just hate the volume. The volume doesn't look good for a short, but price does. Price looks real good for a short. I would have no problem at all holding a short position at 25.074 with a tight stop. None at all. So if you're short risk, I think you're okay. At the very minimum, you should be able to take profits on it. Yeah, Ethereum retesting the month open. That would have been an okay place to put on some downside risk, but if the sellers are done here, then it should have no trouble breaking out above it. I need to fix this because I know these aren't right. Okay, that one's right. Okay, Fartcoin, what are you going to do here? Zcash still struggling to break down. Ooh, XMR looks good. So this is like the line in the sand for the bulls. For me, like if I was buying this, if this was a buy for me, it is not. I am not buying this. But if it was, this would be like the last area for me to be a buyer. I wouldn't be trying to buy under. I would want to see this be like just a quick liquidation and then rip back up into the range. Like as if it's a liquidation break trade. But this could be a trap now. So you have taken that low out. Though if you get a downside continuation move on this candle, like down into here, then you can start to watch this 4-hour open as supply. You got a monthly level there and a weekly level. So a lot of confluence for resistance in this if this breaks down. The structure is still bullish on the weekly range and the monthly range. So for the month and week, you're still structured bullish. You would literally be trying to pick a top, right? And we typically don't want to do that. But we're not doing that with Zcash. We're doing the opposite. You can see how the structure is completely different here, right? It's just now breaking out above the monthly range. So it's just now trying to resolve to the upside. This is still bearish in nature because these swing highs are just very volatile moves. So the structure looks different. That's why we wanted to short this one instead. At least that way we're not just trying to pick a random swing high. Even though there's an objective level there to watch or to mitigate risk from, the structure says you shouldn't be even putting a short on there. But if you thought that was definitely going to hold as resistance, you could 100% short it. Very choppy. That happens a lot with these things. They can be very annoying. I wish there was a better setup out there. Just really wasn't. I guess Pingu could have been, but I don't really know how big that move is. Yeah, it's about a 4% move, so that technically could have been a decent trade. Yeah, I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have sold that. Because, I mean, you're just not seeing aggressive selling anymore. They are, but it's not as aggressive as I would want to see it be. But they're winning. I mean, they're not winning yet. They gotta get under this. They gotta get under 93.11 to be able to breathe a little sigh of relief. So when was it that tweet came out and those YouTube videos came out about how Jane Street was selling the 10 o'clock candle? Or 9:30? What was it? Was it 9:30 or 10? It's just the open, right? The New York session open they were selling. They pretty much got that wrong for yesterday. Now, ultimately, the sellers did show up at 10:15. But yeah, it's just near-term order flow. You got millions of people making decisions based on so much different data. This is what we call just random market violence, right? Intraday chaos. It's impossible to predict and analyze. Love the jazz. Feels weird though. I got used to the guy yelling at me, wanting to see how I do under pressure. Yeah, I'm very, I don't want to say it's emotion. I want to say it's, yeah, screw it. We can call it emotion. I'm a passionate instructor. Very passionate. I love metal. Metal's like the music I grew up listening to. I've listened to, hardcore trap music too on those. That's usually what I like to listen to, that kind of stuff. But tis the season. I can just almost smell the rib roast baking in the oven. Not yet, but almost. Come on, man, get something going for me. Let's see what you do here. I'm not going to short you, but if you break down, that could go a little bit in the way of helping the other. What else? Let's see what MSTR is doing today, if anything. Nothing. So MSTR is literally just on the floor here. Still. Not many people interested in buying MicroStrategy, even though it's literally cheaper. And you can buy, like if you want to buy MicroStrategy for Bitcoin right now, with the MNAV the way it is, you can get Bitcoin for 80 cents on the dollar, even. People are too afraid that Wall Street is keeping it down, so they'll wait until it's too late to buy it. So I did get an alert on Discord, but I don't know if that was earlier. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're saying. But yeah, we did hit the weekly expected move on the S&P. And it did bounce. So that's generally where you want to be looking to take profits if you're trading the S&P or if you're trading the ES or the SPY. Like if you're just trading the asset, any asset that tracks the S&P 500, you definitely want to be a profit taker down here. You definitely don't want to be putting on new shorts in this area ever. Now up here is a different story. Up here is a totally different story. If the inflation data would have come out with a big miss, we would probably see a whole lot different structure on price today. But since it was a beat, kind of changes things a little bit. But yeah, I mean, it's damn near, and these aren't my levels. These are the market maker levels. It's just implied volatility, what the IV says the move will be, right? You can get it on any options platform. Now, Tasty Trade's weekly expected moves is much different than Thinkorswim. And I like to get my levels from Thinkorswim. Tasty Trade right now, the IV on the S&P or SPX for today is 26.3%. That's what the IV is on Tasty. I don't have the Schwab platform pulled up. But yeah, that's where I get these measured moves. Here, I'll show you what it looks like or where it is, just in case you don't know, right? Most people do, but some don't, right? But right here, this in the parentheses, each expiration will have its own expected move. So what I do on Saturday, I just go out to Friday's date and get what that measured move is. So Friday is going to be the 26th next week. DEES 26. So that means you would just look at DEES 26. Here, let me erase that real quick. DEES 26. And then the expected move for next week, as of right now, on Tasty, is 100 points. I suspect that will change by Saturday, because you've got today and tomorrow, and the VIX goes a long way in pricing what the expected move will be. So if the VIX closes, like say down around 16 or 1550, this number will go down dramatically. Also, next week is a shortened week. We know for a fact the 25th will be closed. So you're not going to have a full 5-day trading week next week. So that's also taken into account. But, you know, there's a lot of different metrics that go into the equation. That's why I just like to wait till Saturday, because everything's priced in. Saturday gives you a pretty good expectation of what you can look for, and then I just go in there and I price it in. I write it in manually. A lot of people are selling puts down in here, selling calls up in here. I never sell calls ever. I think selling calls is the best way to blow a portfolio. Selling naked calls has got to be one of the most risky trading strategies on the face of the planet. Naked calls, that is. Selling naked. Very, very risky. It's no different than taking a short without a stop loss, is essentially what selling naked calls are. The upside has unlimited risk potential. It's the most risky style of trading. You can only make 100% on the downside. The upside can go up 1,000,000%. Yeah. That's why it's better to be a buyer in a bullish market than a seller. Unfortunately, Bitcoin is bearish, but all the other risk markets are bullish. Now, we look at a lot of different things to give us, more of a long-term bias. And right now, our ratios are showing us that people are hedging at the very least. So like if you look at growth versus value, for instance, for tech and the S&P to be trending higher, you want to see this ratio, growth versus value, trending higher. Even though risk markets are trading somewhat near their all-time highs, this indicator or this ratio is suggesting that people are not risk on. They're not, capital flows are not rotating out of value plays into growth. It's the opposite. You have capital rotations right now happening from inside of growth going into value. People do that when they're concerned. So the market is showing us that people are concerned, but we know they are because Bitcoin dumped 30%, right? That means people are concerned. But just looking at the market as a whole, because the Fed is cutting interest rates and yields are rising, I think this will bottom out more than likely today going into tomorrow. This will hopefully be the low now that we've gotten that solid inflation number. Right? CPI it's good. It's going in the right direction, right? So that's good news. What we don't want to see is we don't want to see unemployment going up aggressive. That is slightly aggressive. It's 0.2% higher than what was the last print. So that's slightly aggressive. We don't mind a 1% or like one tick up or one tick down. When you start getting above 2 and 3, that starts to become very annoying and worrisome for market participants. But now at least we've gotten the inflation, or at least the core number, dropped. This number should be 3. It was 3. I looked at the chart before the CPI came out. It was 3. So the fact that it dumped 4 ticks lower is good. It's a good beat. Even your inflation rate year over year came down 0.4%. Significant drop. It's not just a small drop. It's a pretty large drop. So if we could get unemployment going in the same direction as inflation, I have no reason at that point to believe the markets are going to continue to roll over. And then if bond yields were to come in line as well with what the Fed is doing, I could see markets just going right back up again, including Bitcoin. So things are looking a little bit better anyways with this inflation print. And obviously you're seeing that in the price action today. Now that might not continue, but at least today, people aren't hammering Bitcoin like it's hot steel. Like they're trying to mold it into death and destruction. It's actually in price discovery here trying to expand up. Things do look a little bit better out there on the macro side of things because of this, but only time will tell. CRWV been hammered and hitting support. Let's go look at it. As we're still just waiting on Zcoin to roll over, and it isn't. Yeah, this thing is getting hammered like cold steel, or hot steel, sorry. Typically, we want to see bullish trends hold their 50-week EMAs. 20-week for the very near term. Like, once an asset starts to lose its 21-day EMA on the weekly, that's when I start getting bearish. That's when I start looking for shorts. Or at the very minimum, looking to buy insurance on my long portfolio, on my long positioning. I definitely want to hedge it off once this happens. When I see this after, then I'm like, yeah, that getting short was the correct call. Now, you don't have enough data to pull up the 50 week. You won't for another 12 weeks. So that we don't really know where that is. We could pull up like a 6-month chart. Yeah. Well, it looks like you're only going to be able to pull up a quarterly. And we can put an anchored VWAP on it. And it looks really bad, right? It does not look good. Now, the anchored VWAP is going to take, it's a volume weighted average. It's not a price weighted average. So because it's way up here, it suggests that whatever buying pressure you did have in the asset, lost it. So you can see how you lost it, the average here, and then put in this range, right? This was a downside continuation move, but you didn't see downside continuation happen. Instead, it bounced. So this would be considered all of it would be a consolidation under the volume weighted average. Similar to like this, but clearly this was a much deeper correction, but a correction nonetheless, because it only took 3 days to get back above it, and then it held, and then it held. So this would let you know that the asset is bullish and it has bullish momentum as long as price supports it, right? As long as price stays above it, then you can at least say, well, the buyers are in control of the chart and volume kind of confirms. But you can't say that anymore because you lost it here and you never consolidated. You just went straight down. And then you consolidated this area, but now you're under that. So this will be the liquidation point moving forward, but I wouldn't be a buyer on this. Like, you've lost everything that I care about when I'm trying to identify bullish momentum. You've lost all bullish momentum. Now the bears are in control of the chart. So you would actually need to get back up into this area and then prove it. I wouldn't want to be a buyer up here, not when it got this cheap though. So the only way, like if you honestly believe it's about to put in a low, then you would want to be a buyer here with a very tight stop. Because as long as you're under that, you are continuing the downtrend. You have trend continuation at that point, right? So, yeah, I mean, you could be a buyer here with a very tight stop, but you're trying to pick a bottom. We don't have a good edge for trying to pick a bottom. The only edge that I know of that exists is the liquidation break strategy, or another way to look at the liquidation break strategy is a reversion to the mean. And in this case, the mean would be what? Either the 21 week or 21 day. Who knows, right? The market will decide what the mean is. The market will always decide what the mean is. But I probably wouldn't be a buyer on this until you could at least reclaim the daily 21. Because at that point, at least you can say, well, the near-term buyers are able to defend support. We just never know if those long-term sellers will come back. That's the problem, right? With trying to buy a market that has downside pressure. It's got literally everything going for it, right? The downside trade has the momentum. It has the continuation. It has the technical structure. It has the averages, both price and volume, on its side. So there really isn't any technical analysis that will tell you should be buying CoreWeave right now. I don't know if there is there 200 days? There isn't. Yeah, you don't have enough data even to give you a 200 day. You can put the 100 day up there, but the 100 day is up here. So really and truly, man, it would be a difficult buy. It would be a very risky buy. One of the most riskiest strategies to deploy in the markets is a liquidation break strategy. Literally, especially when an asset is trending and one side of the market has the momentum. You just got to be careful. But yeah, I mean, it could find support here. It hitting support. I wouldn't say it has support yet. Alex says, just kidding, same thing here. I grew up listening to Black Sabbath and Zeps. Love the music you usually have on. Yeah. I do too. Occasionally, a couple songs come on and my head will start bouncing. I might get a camera. I don't know. I just never really thought about it. Mainly, one of the reasons is when I built this PC, I kind of screwed up. I'm not a good PC builder. So I forgot to put in a Bluetooth module so that way I could connect most of my things via Bluetooth. So I basically have to use USB ports, and I really don't have any more. I would have to buy. I already have, because I have so many monitors. I already have like so many HDMI connectors and USB port connectors. I've got wires literally everywhere. Next computer I build, I'm going to build it with more USB-C ports, USB ports, USB-C ports, or whatever those C ports are. I think they're just C ports. But you get what I'm saying. I'm going to put more ports, do the Bluetooth thing, all that. So that way, I don't need as many wires to run a similar setup. I want to be able to have at least, 3 27-inch monitors with a wide screen on top, because that gives you 2 more monitors. I don't think you need more than 5 monitors, but that's just my opinion. I don't think you need 5 monitors. You can get by with just 3. You can get by with 1. You don't need multiple monitors. It makes things nice when you don't have to click on tabs and these boxes like this, or not that, sorry, these boxes like this. You don't need to do that. You can just have platforms and programs up on different multiple monitors. Just look around. Swivel your head, keep your head on a swivel. That's what my football coach used to say. As I was a defensive back, you gotta keep your head on a swivel. He wasn't wrong either, because those blockers back then had full right to just run you right the F over if you weren't paying attention to where's the ball. Yeah, Zcash not looking great. Basically because it's 10:30, right? We got into this trade 2 hours ago, and it has not broke down yet. Typically speaking, when I take entries, I know rather quickly whether or not I'm on the right side, because, you know, within about an hour or so, you should be hitting profit targets. When this is happening, it is telling me that I am probably on the wrong side of the market. Though at least XMR is, I mean, to be fair, it is kind of trending down. So that's the only reason why I'm still holding this, but it feels and looks like we're about to eat a stop. So Fartcoin also, this is what I talk when I'm talking about like refusing to break back down. That's literally this, right? You put in a sideways consolidation at a level you're watching, and price refuses to go under it. So that literally means if you're looking for the short here, the short isn't working. Instead, support is holding, because when you get back into this area, you're not continuing, you're reversing. Now, it could keep doing this for the rest of the day, but am I willing to just let $500 go to the wayside because I don't want to take my money? And the answer to that is definitely not. Definitely not. Now, I do know that by taking profits here could also mean that if it does break down later, I will miss that. Well, that's always going to happen, right? I took profits yesterday, and I'll show you where. It'll make you sick to your stomach when you know where I took profits. I literally took profits yesterday right here. Short entry, take profit. So imagine how terrible I felt knowing that I took 2/3 of the position size off here. So you're going to have to learn to ignore that. Your job as a trader is to put risk in the market and take profits. That's your job. Anticipating a continuation move is not. Because if you don't take profits, if you try to anticipate this will happen every time you take a trade, price is going to reverse back in your face and stop you out. The markets only trend like 30% of the time. The markets are sideways, range bound, and choppy 70% of the time. And we can fact check that stat together, right? Let Grok do his thing here. In trading and technical analysis, markets are often categorized into trending, up or downtrend, and sideways, also called ranging consolidation, which is true. It is range-bound consolidation. There isn't a single universally agreed upon percentage, as it depends on factors like the asset class, stocks, forex, commodities, time frame, and how trending versus sideways is defined, because just these two terms right here legitimately are subjective. That's the problem with technical analysis, or the way technical analysis is taught by 90% of the community. They teach you how to analyze markets subjectively. There needs to be some objectivity to it. But anyways, however, a common rule of thumb in trading communities and resources that makes it spend more time in sideways or consolidation phases than strong trends. Sideways ranging consolidation often cited as 70% of the time, whereas trending is around 30% of the time. So with that stat right there, if you literally always try to take the trade and anticipate the consolidation, this stat is telling you that you're going to be wrong 70% of the time. This is why I try to beat it into my community's head about taking profits. If you put the risk on, you must pay yourself if the market goes in your direction. Because by simply doing that, you can make your hit rate go from, say, 30% accuracy up to 50 or 40% accuracy. Just by taking profits can improve your whole strategies. Like your whole portfolio can literally be, you can go from being a losing trader to a profitable trader just by implementing that one step. Because a lot of people, I mean, I know why. I was new and learning too, right? It's revenge trading. You lose, and then you take a trade and it starts to work and you're like, I'm going to win all my money back on this trade. And what usually happens, you don't take profits and you're actually in a consolidation, choppy environment, and it comes back up and stops you out, or goes back down and stops you out. Whatever, doesn't matter, right? Direction is irrelevant. So just by taking profits on every one of your trades will help some of your portfolios literally go from losing to winning. And then others it won't, obviously, but yeah, that's neither here nor there. All right. So yeah, that's why. But it doesn't really matter, because if you look at it, if you look at the trade right here, you will see two things that are glaringly obvious. One is I made money on the trade, and that was the goal, right? I want to risk about $100 to try to make 300. Cool. Objective completed. But I took 2/3 of the position off, so now I'm in it with a very meager small position. Yeah, but look, because I did get a continuation move, now this small position ended up paying almost double what that one trade did. And I'm okay with that. Like, not only am I okay with it, I live for it. That's why I'm able to jump into these things with heavy leverage, first and foremost, because when I am right, I get right in a big way. I know that's going to cover a few of the losses. I know it's going to pay me more long term than the first original trade idea did. That's called icing on the cake and the cherry on top. Yeah, you're going to make more money for your P&L like this than you ever will like this. These will be what sets you apart from literally having a great year to having a bad year. So just take profits. Don't worry about missing out. That FOMO stuff, you got to get rid of that. The strategies that I teach are very, very, very easy to get. Like, Alex has only been here for like less than a month or close to a month, and he's already getting it. Now, some learn faster than others, obviously, but still, like, now it will be up to him to implement the things that I say and, to weave that in. He's got all of the tools and all the materials, right? Now it's up to him to actually put the basket together or put the strategy together and make a winning process. He's got the tools. He knows pretty much everything he needs to know to go out there and make money. Now he still has to learn how to fight or not fight with himself. Do the statistical average thing. Don't do the human thing. Don't let emotions keep you from being a profitable trader. That's genuinely where most people fail. They can't get it out of their own way. And that's always a good thing. They've already proven that, though. I mean, it's a monkey throwing darts can win given a human is doing the risk managing, right? The monkey's just throwing the dart. He's just throwing the dart, picking stocks. The humans are managing the portfolio. They're managing the risk. That's why the monkey can be profitable. It's a systematic thing. You have to do it. Even if you don't want to do it, you're never going to know what the market's going to do. Ever. There's nothing out there that'll teach you that. You already have, most of you, I would say the majority of you, already have enough know-how, knowledge to literally change your life. You're just getting in your own way. And I'm not laughing at it. It's kind of sad, but... And I hate saying that over and over again because to most it doesn't feel true. It feels like a lie, but it isn't. It isn't. It's a backtestable fact. All you got to do, man, the math checks, right? The math checks out, however you work it. 50% win rate, you are profitable. If your 2-to-1 risk to reward is legit, 40% hit rate, you are profitable. Yeah, it's a big move down here. I assume Farcoin will be very choppy and sideways for the rest of the week because it was so choppy and sideways before that big drop yesterday. It might give, one more day of continuation, but Bitcoin would almost need to roll over for that to happen. So if you are trading Farcoin like every single day, I don't know that I would be looking for a big downside continuation move today or tomorrow. You just liquidated a long, like a multi-week range or a multi-week low. So it could take a few days in this price range to suss direction out as price discovery is now back in effect. You were very sideways up here, and as long as price was closing above the 21-day exponential, I felt and truly thought that this would be a big breakout. And it probably would have been had it broken out, right? Because there is a shitload of volume up there. So that volume up there could literally propel this thing to the moon. But alas, the sellers won. It was a hard-fought battle, but they got it. They got the move. So a lot of people are taking profits down here. That is why you're seeing a large bounce take place. It's shorts covering and new buyers diving on it, looking for this to be the reversal spot based on an objective level. But only time will tell who wins that battle. So, yeah. Others, though, haven't, I guess, had such, well, I don't know. Bonk's been literally trending down for the last 5 days. Yesterday was an up day for a while, but ultimately it closed negative. So 4 days in a row of downside continuation, that's probably close to done too. Pingu, same thing as Bonk. It's just been trending down. Damn it, man. Looks like, I mean, there just wasn't a setup there, so I wouldn't have been able to take the trade. It still looks like it wants to go up. It still looks okay for an upside move. And this is doing what it usually does to me. Chopping back and forth, very sideways. Very rarely do I catch good trends on this. There we go with TLT starting to move to the upside. That's good news. That, I think, ultimately could help Bitcoin, but it's got to be a good day. It's got to get back above the October low, because right now you're still trending to the downside. Once you broke below this low, you objectively became trending lower for the last 3 months. That is. So we need them buyers to get it back above that monthly low, put it back in this range. Then you can at least say, well, on the near term, this is a downtrend rejection. And that could bring more buyers in, as people are constantly making new decisions in this business. Becomes a self. You get it. Yeah, but XLY, super bullish today, fresh all-time high. Financials looking to do the same. I would love to just get out there and short JPM stock down to nothing, just because it constantly talks bad about my beloved Bitcoin. But unfortunately, JPM is not a stock one should be shorting. Not if you like making money, as this thing is a very good looking long-term asset for growth. I mean, damn, I wish I would have bought it at 75 myself. But alas, I wish it would happen, just so he would shed it. What's the dollar doing? Still very sideways today. Do you guys got any other assets you want me to look at as we're just waiting for either a stop loss or a trend continuation move in our direction? Right now, it's very sideways and choppy, right? But at least we can say before it went into this range, it was going down. So we do typically look for that to happen, but it doesn't always, as Bart's patterns are very prevalent in the crypto world. But downtrend, sideways, so we typically want to be looking to sell in this area for trend continuation. But I won't like it anymore for that above the weekly open, as it won't fit any of my rules anymore for looking for trend continuation. So I would love to see it break down. Volume just isn't doing it. It's trying to do it. I think the POC is migrated higher, which that could be bad news for us, since these are higher lows. Could be bad news. I would love to see a breakdown candle show up here soon. That would be great. This thing isn't trending. Like, it has made lower lows all week long, but we could just be a little bit early. A little low and a little early. It could be tomorrow, maybe. Who knows? We'll keep it on watch. Yeah. Just kidding. Same thing here. Oh God, I read that already. How does one find your Discord group? My Discord group is in every video I put out. It's in the description. The link to the Patreon. You want a hedge fund or higher. As the first membership is for a Sunday live stream. The second membership is for the Discord. But every video that I have, let's just pull up this video real quick. Right here is the description. You just got to click drop down. And then right here is the link. But just make sure you do the second. I think, I don't even remember what they are. It's been so long since I've looked. I think it's like prop firm is the first tier, then hedge fund is the second tier. The third tier is investment banker. So you want anything above prop to get to the Discord. I don't ever talk about it because it's set up as a donation style thing. I'm not trying to run a business, but I do occasionally. When you're doing that, basically what you're doing is you're paying to have 24/7 access to ask me every question you want to ask. That's why, literally. And I answer everybody in the Discord. Everybody. And I will do my best to help you become a profitable trader. I will do my best. I can definitely point out when you're doing things wrong. So as long as you're open to criticism to get you on the right track. If you're not open to criticism, it might not be a good fit. I've never had to kick anybody out but one person, ever. And that person just was not willing to learn. So yeah. Is there any other assets that you guys are looking at that you think is a trade setup? Because if there is a setup out there that is a trade that I'm not seeing, we could definitely take it. Ethereum is still struggling at yesterday's open. See, I typically don't like to see that. So like for me, if the sellers were going to win the battle here, it seems like they would already be winning, right? This does not look like it's going to be a short. Now, ultimately, it could end up being a short. But as of right now, if I was short Ethereum, I would probably be getting out of it. It doesn't look great. This is, we're already trying it. Dash is also in the same sector as XMR and ZEC. It's not as good or as well known as the other two. But there's literally, it's already got creamed, right? If I was going to be looking to short it, the short was a long time ago. Up in here, when it was super volatile. But I did miss it. I do miss things. So yeah, that's done. Litecoin trades, it also is for some reason in the same sector when I ask Grok, but I don't know Litecoin as being like Monero. It generally trades like Bitcoin. Typically speaking, if dominance is weak and Bitcoin is moving up, you want to be long alts. Sorry, I said that wrong. No, if Bitcoin is going up and dominance is weak, yes, you want to be long alts. If Bitcoin is going up and dominance is strong, you don't necessarily want to be short alts, but the alt might not perform as good. If Bitcoin is weak and dominance is strong, you want to be short alts. Period. All right, so Tau was one that people were watching a while back when it was up in here. We were actually looking to see if the breakout could hold. It couldn't. But I never got back on it. Otherwise, I would have shorted it here. So even though I had it on watch, I literally missed the short setup. The short setup was very easy. It would have been a very simple trade for us to take here. Right? Or even at daily res, because it fit the strategy. So this one would have been plugged in. I just missed it. Now I'm not looking for a short down here. It's already been crunched. It's already lost a lot of its value. So that up there would have been the short. Yeah, it's already lost. From that point, it lost almost 50% of its value. That's pretty much toast. ENA, pretty much toast. Book of Meme, pretty much toast. Jelly, not toast yet. So Jelly is one that is going to remain on watch. Ooh, what did I just do? Well, there we go. That was an easy fix. Anyways, we're going to keep Jelly on watch. It is absolutely... It's trading on its own momentum and order flow right now, so it might not be a short just yet. But it's definitely watchable for the short. So we are going to keep it on watch. Shorting something that has this much bullish momentum isn't usually what, oh my gosh, usually what we want to do. But when that momentum starts to wane, as long as it doesn't have a big 80% dump in one day, then it is something we do want to watch. Because once that bullish momentum starts to run out, we will be there. It's just not there yet. One could argue about it being there or being close to there, but it just depends on what it does here. Does it take out this weekly high and continue? Or does it just liquidate and roll over? If it liquidates and rolls over, then we might be able to take a shot at it, but not with a big position. We would just be using a standard risk unit because we know that if it's breaking out and structured bullish like it is, the chances of it going higher are much higher than the chances of it rolling over, right? So it would just be a simple risk unit. We would give it a shot there if it could do that. So, I mean, it looks like it put in a bear trap and then support held. So once it put in this bear trap or this lower close, I would argue and say it put in a bear trap right there, because you took out the high, but then it didn't go nowhere and put in another bear trap. But anyways, support held. You couldn't close a lower 4-hour candle than this candle. That means support is holding. As long as 4-hour candles are literally refusing to close lower, you got to be careful. You need that lower close, because you could be doing something like what it just did. Squeezing shorts. It's not done yet. It's not done squeezing shorts. It could be being manipulated. I would say it probably is being manipulated, because alts can be manipulated. It's the Wild West. But we don't care that it's being manipulated, because eventually we know the manipulation is going to stop. And when it does stop, that's when we want to attack it. We don't always get it, though. Okay, so Farcoin's coming back down to where support should hold if it's going to go up. So the volume still looks good for downside continuation. So I don't know that I want to take a long here, clearly. But I want to see what it does when it comes back into this price. If it continues to hold support at something as low as a 5-minute time frame, then I want to get out of it. All right, I don't want to continue to hold it, as I have way too much unrealized profits to just let go away. And if I take those profits off, it's already such a small position size, it wouldn't make sense to just tie up $50, right? Like, why even leave a $50 short on? It doesn't make sense. I would just look to re-short at a swing high. Oh, I don't know yet. I'll figure something out. But I definitely want to see what it does here. As if it drops back under this, then we can leave it open. But I think you're going to need to see Bitcoin get weak again. Dominance has dropped significantly. So dominance was up, I thought, wasn't it? Yeah, it was up earlier today. Dominance was up a lot bigger, a lot more than it is now. So this right here could give Fartcoin support. It's still structured up, but we are testing that price now. So this is 4-hour support. Volume looks good. Still 8 minutes on this candle though. Oh man, I would love to see ZEC just cut loose. Just give us that dump. You're not going to see this dump. I very rarely ever see dump candles on this. There you got 4 dump candles in a row. Boom, boom. Or 3 in boom, boom. And then this one. And then the rest of it's choppy and sideways. It's a very annoying asset to trade. Very annoying. But it's all we had for a technical setup. It's literally all we had. All right. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's see what we got going on over here. Yeah, you're just now coming back into support on the delta. And what I want to see is a big dump. And this candle to do the same thing. As long as it's holding the line here, it kind of suggests that there's an iceberg order down here. Like, because the deltas can't break loose, right? So as price pushes into this area, people are selling, but there's a big buy order that's just soaking all that selling pressure up. That's the theory behind it. Auction market theory. I started dabbling in retail stocks like Victoria's Secret, Restoration Hardware, Lululemon. Lululemon was a very, very volatile stock at one point. Have you looked at any of these? Hammered on tariff news, seem to be making a nice turnaround. ANF and AE. We can look at like Lululemon, Victoria's Secret also. Those are considered like high end, I guess. Maybe not so much Victoria's Secret, but Lululemon for sure. Like, you got to be doing good economically to be able to spend $300 on a pair of sweatpants, right? Now, obviously, those pants are made right for some people, but still, are they worth $300? To me, the answer is no. They're sweatpants. They're yoga pants. They're not worth that kind of money. It's you're buying in name only, right? You're buying name. You're not buying like legitimate. You're not buying anything. You're just buying the name. So I can see why those things took a beating and continue to take a beating in some cases. Simply because they're a high end. You got to have a really good economy. People have to feel rich. When people feel rich, then they feel like, yeah, I want to buy these, right? When they don't feel rich, when they feel poor, they're not buying Lululemon sweatpants. They're buying knockoff sweatpants that you can buy on Amazon, same thing, for way cheaper. Though clearly their bottom line should take a hit from that. Looking at all these earnings report, that doesn't seem to be the case, but price is telling a different story here. So you're significantly down on the year, but you're bouncing off that yearly low, right? September's your yearly low. But it has been a pretty significant bounce. So you're back into June's low. That would make that a quarterly swing low, right? So it's a bigger objective swing low. It's not just a monthly low, it's also a quarterly low. So what I would say moving forward on Lululemon, if it fails to break out here, then I would have no problem looking for shorts. Now, with that being said, I don't want to do that on extreme bullish momentum, which is clearly what you have here. We got to move this over. I knew something wasn't right, but... So you have extreme bullish momentum here because you just got earnings. You got a top and bottom line beat. So I don't necessarily want to short it into that. But if later on, like if a few days go by and it starts to reveal to me that it is struggling to trade above 219.97, then I could potentially look for that short. But I would want to go read these financials and last quarter as well, because the last 2 quarters is where you got really bullish, right? That's where price said stopped going lower and boom. So I definitely want to read this and go back and see what's going on there, and then look to see if there's like any other reason why the stock has gotten so bullish. Make sure there's not like some really good business deal on the line and stuff like that, right? You got to make sure that it's probably an overdone move before we look to short it, because this changes your entire daily structure. That move is so aggressive, right? It even changes the weekly structure. Now, the monthly open or that quarterly open is up here. That comes in pretty good with the 50 EMA on the weekly. So if this downtrend's going to continue, we want to see this be the last spot. But since it's here right now, we can use this level as an objective place to mitigate risk. Because we know for a fact, if it's trading above 219.97, it's probably going here. These big objective levels act like magnets for price. So basically, if the sellers fail to break it back under the June low, then this is where you want to look to potentially put that short on. Once this level starts to pull in that sell side liquidity. So the short is, in my opinion, not here, not yet. But today, it doesn't look like it. Today would be a little... I mean, earnings was last week. Last Thursday. This move just happened. So that tells me there's a lot of buying pressure here last week and this week. It's not just a liquidation run. It got all the way above that level. It's coming back into it to test it for support now. So I would give it a few days. This would be the better level, but if it fails here, I could take one quick, easy shot at it. Make sure you're not losing more than 1% of your portfolio's equity on that trade, and then do the exact same thing up here. If it gets up there, take another 1% shot at it. Just because it's an objective level and a long-term level does not mean that you need to go in this with a short trying to get rich, because you're probably going to lose all your money if you do that. It's just a technical level. Has really no relevance at all yet. It takes time to see if that relevance is there. Order flow needs to start showing us that, yes, traders are looking for that trade here. As of right now, they just got smoked. All the shorts this week just got smoked. So I doubt anybody's putting it on today. They could have been waiting for that to happen, though. The smart traders probably were. Because it looked like it was going to break out all week. It put in higher lows, right? So now they could be putting it on. Price, we'll see what it does from here. That's Lululemon. I don't really follow the others. But if you tell me what the ticker is, what is it? Like, is Victoria's Secret something as... Nope, it is definitely is not. Just BS. Oh, there it is right there. Very bullish. Very bullish on the near term. Like you just took out a massive swing high up there. Yeah, this is going to have a bullish structure. Yeah, your 50's way down here. This is not a trade. This is not a trade for me. I wouldn't take this trade. I deploy a lot of strategies. And none of them would tell me to trade this pair or this asset, sorry. It looks very bullish. If you own it from like down in here or something, I would just keep holding it. You could see what the analysts are saying about it. Maybe they're... Wait. What the hell, dude? Oh, that is it. Well, what am I doing? Anyway, let's go see what the analysts are saying about it. So analysts are still calling it a buy. The technicals are saying it's a strong breakout. That's why it's saying that. But I don't look at the technicals. I want to see what the analysts are saying about it. And there's only 11. So that's not really enough to do anything. Right? There's only one out of 11 that says it's a sell. This would be a take profit for me if I was in it. I'm not. So that one, that's a no-go. I can't tell you to do anything in this. Restoration hardware. All right, let me just type in restoration. What the? I don't know what the ticker is for this. It's clearly not any of that. RH. I typed that in and I guess that's it. That might be their logo. I don't know. I'm not familiar with the company. I don't shop there. Yeah, I got it. I don't shop there. So this is more bearish than bullish. But it's bouncing. It's chopping sideways in a long-term range. You're above last month's high, so I don't like that for sell side continuation. I would actually watch to see if this price acts as a buying opportunity moving forward. So I wouldn't be interested in doing anything with this. Not buying it, not selling it, not right now. So like if I was watching it a couple weeks ago, I could have looked to be a buyer here. This would have put us off for a day, but that gap up would have probably been like, yeah, looks like it was a trap. It would have been on earnings. So probably wouldn't have been a trade for me. But if I was just looking to own the shares, I would have absolutely been able to buy shares here on this day. In anticipation of this day being a trap. Or I could have just simply waited till the next day opened and then buy the shares then if it gaps back above 155. So I could have bought the shares here and I would still be holding those shares. I wouldn't be looking to put on any new positions here. If it pulls back to this area and holds, I could buy it again. Because you could be in the middle of trying to reverse trend. Let's see what the analysts have to say about it. The analysts are neutral on it. And there's 22 of them. So that's better, right? So you've got 5 saying it's a strong buy at these prices, 3 calling it just a buy, and 11 saying it's a hold. So buy and hold. So that would put the median at buy and hold for analysts. And you've got 3 saying you should sell it. So at the very minimum, it would be hard pressed for me to short this stock, because the analysts are saying this is a good value for a buy and hold. If the median was sell, then, and you're probably never going to find that. Let's be honest. Let's go back to Lululemon real quick just to see if the analysts are saying sell it. I almost guarantee you they're not. Analysts, you'll find very few sell side analysts out there. Yeah, 27 are calling this a buy and hold. That's where it is now, even. So, yeah, I mean, I'd be hard pressed to short it, but as a technical trade, the short could be there if it fails at 236. Just the technical trade. It's not a good, like, macro short, if you will. Okay, Farcoin is testing that level. Has broken down. So basically moving on today for the rest of the day. If it continues to trade under that, I would leave that position open where it is. I won't do anything with it because right now it's back up to 563 on the unrealized gains. So the position that I have on it, it isn't a large position at all. But you can see how much money, like earlier when it was up here, this was all the way down to like 415. So as long as it's trading under this, then there's no reason for me to take the unrealized gains off the table. But if this candle closes in 3 hours from now, because this candle just opened, so right now, technically speaking, you can still buy Farcoin if you pull back and do not like go lower, right? If you don't start trending under here. So anybody that bought in this candle can still buy in this candle down to here, and that's it. Because if you're under that, you're trending lower, and nobody's going to step in front of that. No, like, I'm an intraday scalper. I wouldn't step in front of that at that point. I don't like stepping in front of this stuff anyways, but if I was stepping in front of it to buy it, it needs to hold above this. I need to see that buying pressure start to pick up before it gets here. Then I could target 2902. Long, take profits. Right? Because that's what's going on in here. You got sellers here that said as long as it rejects here, I can hold a short. So the near-term order flow is being driven by that level, right? So now it'll be up to the bulls to step in here and defend their level, which is here. It could also be there. That would give this a higher low, right? So basically, if it fails to dump in here and come down in here, then the buyers could be kicking in here, targeting right there. Because now the traders are going to decide order flow. That's how these ranges get built, because of traders. You've got intraday scalpers that are just trying to make a couple percent. They are delta neutral traders. They're not looking for continuation. They're just literally providing liquidity in the range. So we'll see what happens with it. But yeah, going back to Restoration Hardware, I don't think I would do anything with it right now. And then what was your other ticker? ANFAE. Yeah, this is another one it's going to be like Lulu, right? Clearly they had good earnings, so whatever reason, people are back to buying high-end clothing. I mean, Abercrombie and Fitch is more high-end than it isn't. So this could be a selling opportunity. Let's see if there's... It is. It's a quarterly swing low. Okay, so we can work with that. But the same thing has to be said. Your weekly time frame is no longer bearish. Your weekly time frame has shifted to bullish. So you could see profit takers start taking profits here. But what it does when it comes back in for a retest will basically determine future flows. So if it fails, there could be a short scalp here at the very minimum, but it's got to fail here. It has to. Like, I would not want to see a 5-minute candle closure back above 120.68 if I was looking for the short side scalp. Right? So that's the only way you could day trade this. Short retests of this price, stop above high day. Very small percentage of your growth, of your overall equity though. Because remember, it's just a trade. We can't predict what price will do. And this has a lot of bullish momentum. So the bulls are clearly in control of this near-term order flow. So it makes it a very difficult short. Makes it a very difficult buy here, though, as well. But that weekly chart looks phenomenal. Like, really good. Like, you set in a double bottom here and exploded to the upside. And this one would be another one that I would be... Generally speaking, guys, good companies, you want to buy, not sell. You don't want to buy them, though, after they've had an explosive move like that. Because profit taking is going to ensue after that move, and that could cause sideways choppiness for the next couple weeks. But generally speaking, good companies, you want to be a owner. So I would look at this, I would go, let's just go back 10 years. Okay, so looking at this chart, I can see that it does pretty good when it's trending up. When it's trending down on the year, might not be the best buying up, so to speak, right? And then I want to look, what does it do near the end of the year? Does it start to recover? So I'm only looking at this stuff right in here, and not really, right? So I'm looking at 10 years. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That line ultimately did resume back to positive, but you got 5 counting this one. This is where you are right now, this blue line. So it's like mixed. It's like mixed. When it's having bearish years, it tends to stay bearish. When it's having bullish years, it tends to stay bullish. Not always. Obviously, there are outliers because they all started at neutral, right? You're going to have outlying years where it was what it was, but just with this, so I'm just saying, like, if it's a long-term growth company, you don't necessarily want to be looking for shorts. You want to be buying opportunities. And the analyst rating says it's a buy. And that's with 13 analysts. There are no analysts that say this is a sell. None. That should tell you something right there. Right there, right away, it tells me whoever these analysts are, if they've dug into this company, the fundamentals and everything else, and none of them say you should be selling it. So that would take this as a short off the board for me. It would, at the very minimum, it could be like a scalp only at a technical level. If the technical trade was there, it isn't. That's that at least looks a little bit better for us here. Maybe if it gets under those lows, it could get moving and get to our take profit. Give me a second to set a take profit. I don't have one set, but I want to show you, like, it's still being defended, right? We need to see it do what the other thing did. XMR, it took that low out. So we want to see that happen here. But this candle just opened, so this could be the buying op. The last opportunity to buy this thing today. So if it's got to stay like, yeah, this doesn't feel like it's going to roll over yet, but this 4 hour just opened. But let's go ahead and set a take profit just in case. You never know. Sometimes we get lucky. Oh, that's right. I got to close that stop loss first. I don't know why that's so dumb. I wish I didn't have to do that. Let's see. So I would need about 100% return on investment or return on equity in order to get out. There. Oh man, I need a large move. Yeah, that doesn't look good at all. So I should have been in this much heavier, because my take profit should be right here. It doesn't matter anyways. It doesn't look good, so we'll see what it does. But I would need like a breakdown in order to get filled on that. Let's go ahead and situate it back. So it was a 95% move on, and that's if I take 2/3 of the position off, because I want to leave 1/3 on for downside continuation. Yeah, we'll see if we get it. Doesn't look good, but we'll see if we get it. All right, so this, leave it alone, and then AE. I don't even know what this is. This is probably the wrong ticker. I don't. Yeah, AE. I don't know what this is. Unless you're in another country and you're looking at this on your... I don't see an AE ticker that's in the NASDAQ or S&P, right? The New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. So I need more clarification on what you mean when you say AE. This chart looks like garbage. I wouldn't buy this. I don't care what country you're in. This thing is worth 10 cents, dude. Like, it's just a matter of time before they're bankrupt. American Eagle. Well, why can't I pull it up? It's AEO. AEO is the ticker. Yeah, AEO seems to be the ticker. That's American Eagle Outfitters. All right. It's super bullish. So for whatever reason, the clothing companies are doing really good right now and have been for the last few weeks. This is another one that wouldn't be an anything to me. Like no buy, no sell. It's just too momentous right here. You're making fresh quarterly swing highs. Like I would have been expecting a reversal first here, then there, you know what I mean? And then there, and now here. It's like, at what point do you stop trying to short it? Yeah, that's too much momentum. It has literally got some really good news. Because it went straight up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks in a row. That, probably a short squeeze. Can't do anything with it. Once again, playing some garbage music. All right. Yeah, I mean, this may be a long-term buy and own, right? They are a volatile company, though. Look at how long it's been chopping in this slop. You know what? Real talk. If this thing could get breaking out and like hold that, this thing could explode to the upside. On log, it looks a lot better. You don't really see that long-term consolidation. I do. Very, very long-term consolidation here. I wouldn't buy it where it currently is. But I could if it pulls back to here and holds. Like next month or February, maybe. I need this to happen here. If it does, I can buy $20 and then hold it for a long-term potential breakout. If you get back up to just where all-time highs are, you're going to double your money. And then if it breaks out and puts in that what could be a ginormous move, because there's so much pumped up stuff here, it could end up being a nasty short squeeze like what happened to Tesla. Is there a heavy short float on this, though? If there's not, then I wouldn't expect that short squeeze to be too big, but if it's got a heavy short float, yeah, if it could get going, get up above that 38, ooh, it could be a nice long-term breakout trade. Short float is... it's there, it's just not massive. It's 14%. It's not massive. It's not tiny, but it's not massive. And I would say some of that's probably getting smoked right now because of what it's done lately. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just... let's see what it can do at $20. When it pulls back to 20. Let's see if it can hold 20. If it can, long term, I like it higher. But... not enough to short it. Like there's not enough analysts here, and the mean would still be buy and hold. I obviously don't like the price here to be a buyer and a holder, but a pullback, yes. You've got 3 saying it's a sell. I would take their word for it. Obviously, there's some popular kids YouTube channels because these are popular songs from other creators. And that's probably what's going on. Since the Christmas music is done, we're almost done. We're going to wrap this up here. So if you got Like if you want me to, these things are super volatile, right? If you're scalping them and you're just trading it for volatility, I have no problem with that. Because you just asked me to look. You didn't really give me what you're looking at or whatnot. All right. The Sydney Sweeney effect. Yes. Could be that's when that article came out. You're right. I forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me. Yep. That's what this is. Sydney Sweeney telling all the woke individuals out there to bust it. Yeah. This is America voting with their eyes. Right? I guess. It's hard for me to believe that one individual has that much power, but it is what it is. It is literally smoking shorts. It's in a very long-term channel here, and typically speaking, when things break out of this kind of pattern, it's a rounding bottom, right? Cup and handle. When they get going, you can see really big gains out of them. So you might not even get, if this wants to stay as bullish as it has been, you might not even see a pullback into last month's low or this month's open, right? You may only pull back halfway. So you could just fib this month's range. You're getting ready to start a new monthly. So wherever this month's high ends up being, pull the fib up to that point and then go into January of next year and watch these fib levels. It'd be difficult for me to buy 786 because there's a gap fill here. But if it held, I could buy it. Because it looks like they are pamping this thing. Looks good. All right, so what I'm going to do moving on, because we're going to wrap this up, is basically I'm just going to keep watching price. Hopefully it starts putting in lower lows on an intraday basis. If it starts closing 30-minute candles back above this point, $400, I'll probably bail. And that way it'll just be easier for me to mitigate what I'm doing on Fartcoin. Because Fartcoin, like I said, you're going to have people trying to buy just for the scalp on this range. And that could legitimately turn into a hold on the near term, right? You're already setting what looks to be a trap. So there, it's going to be a 30-minute trap. That is if you take the high out. But that's a good looking volume candle, good looking price candle. So as long as this candle stays under here or at the very minimum here, I could look for downside continuation. You take this high out, this candle is a bear trap. And if volume confirms it, if volume comes back up here, then Fartcoin isn't a short moving forward today. And ZEC is going to be the same thing, right? It's in price discovery, so it kind of needs to stay. Once it sets these new ranges, I want to see those ranges respected on both top. If it's going to be respected on the bottom end, I want to see the top end respect as well. Sellers are here, they're just not here. And that's why I'm concerned about it. If the sellers were here on this and look with this indicator looking like that and everything else that we have, technicals and everything, I would say this thing would have already broken down. But it is what it is, right? All right, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day and rest of your week. I probably will go live on Tuesday for the public, even though I don't expect the markets to do a lot, but I don't have anything else to do, so I don't have a problem with it. I know most people are done doing live streams and whatnot for the holidays. It's just me and my girl, so yeah, I'll probably see you Tuesday if everything goes right. You guys have a fantastic rest of your week, fantastic weekend. We'll see you Tuesday. Make sure you guys trade safe, trade smart, and as always, happy trading, everybody.